We are live. Welcome to the Weight Room Facebook Live. Talking today all about stress and weight gain and how your adrenals play into all this. Are you familiar with what your adrenal glands are? I'm about to tell you today. And I'm flying solo. Unfortunately, we don't have Bunny with us here today. Maybe next time. But in the meantime, you can ask questions. You can ask questions right here on the comments. So be sure to leave those as they come up. Maybe it's not about adrenal stress or weight gain at all. Maybe it's something to do with the gym. Maybe it's something to do with your workouts. So be sure to leave those on there and I'll hit them as they come up. To get started with today, are you addicted to cortisol? Maybe you're addicted to adrenaline. Would you say you're an adrenaline junkie, but not in the way that you want to jump out of airplanes? You actually run on stress. You function better on stress. Well, this podcast or this little live episode is for you. So this is for the overexercisers. This is for the overachievers. This is for the overthinkers and those burning the candle at both ends and those who feel like they're getting sicker and not better, even though they're trying to dial their workouts in, they're trying to dial their food and their eating in. Okay, so what we're talking about mainly today is adrenaline and how it plays into your body and how your adrenal glands could be the reason why you're not seeing results. It's not so much being an adrenaline junkie as being an adrenaline dominant. Running on adrenaline. Adrenaline is our stress hormone released by the adrenals, which, by the way, your adrenals are these little tiny rectangular or walnut-shaped glands that sit right on top of your kidneys, right? So kidneys are like renal, and adrenal is like on top, so adrenal glands. Our adrenal glands are responsible for, among other things, the production of something called cortisol, which is your stress hormone. And you've seen the little commercials where they say, oh, cortisol makes you store fat right in your middle. Well, that's accurate. And that's where a lot of people will say, you know, I kind of feel like I might see changes in my hips and my thighs or my arms, but I just can't get rid of this middle. And that is stress-induced weight, okay? So your body's main goal with regard to adrenaline is released to keep the brain safe, right? This is when you're driving down the road and somebody almost hits you really hard and you slam on the brakes to avoid an accident, okay? Your body released adrenaline to prepare you for the fact that something bad was about to happen and you needed to react to keep your brain safe. Everything your body does is about brain safety. This is our information super center, and if anything happens to the coconut, we're in trouble. So we got to make sure that the brain is always safe, and the body will react under stress, under mental stress, physical stress, whether we're sprinting away from immediate danger or straining to finish that project that we have a deadline at work with on time, okay? It'll react with adrenaline, and adrenaline stimulates cortisol, that fat-storing, stress-managing hormone. We need it, but it also, in chronic stress, can cause that weight gain that just won't go away. Okay, so bottom line, remember, adrenaline, when it's produced, is to keep your brain safe. So this includes, I'm going to jump right to a symptom that many people deal with, and they have no idea that it's an adrenaline response, which is waking up during the night very frequently and feeling kind of this buzzing, wired but tired energy, almost like in the middle of the night you could run a marathon, but yet you're tired, but your body won't let you go to sleep. If you wake up like that, and maybe you stay up for an hour and a half, and you just can't get back to sleep, this is an adrenaline response. Your body has now released adrenaline in the night because it's under stress. It could be that your liver has run out of glycogen, which is like sugar, the good sugar it needs to convert thyroid hormone to the active form in the liver. Okay, that happens with sugar. If you've run out of sugar, or maybe you're on a low carb or a keto diet, then chances are your body will release adrenaline and you're going to have trouble sleeping. Okay, other things are like if you're on high alert during the day, you're go, 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 you're burning the candle at both ends. I got to get everything done. It's all about me. I have to do it. I can't rely on somebody else to do it or it's not going to get done. That is adrenaline all through the day. And typically when you're running on adrenaline all through the day, you're also going to run it all night long. All right. Your body's not going to shut that down. So before I go any further, since I'm using earbuds today, can I get a big shout out from somebody watching that says you can hear me? I don't want to just be this like moving head. So can I get like somebody to comment and just let me know that you can hear me right now? Otherwise, I'm going to keep talking and I hope that you can hear me. So we're going to talk about the symptoms of high cortisol, which is indicative of high adrenaline. So these kind of go in tandem. If your adrenaline's high, chances are, okay, thank you, Samantha. She said she can hear. Chances are if your adrenaline's high, your cortisol is going to be high. Number one, trouble losing weight. If you cannot lose weight, your adrenaline's running high. Now, it could be for a variety of reasons. Like I said, you could have that go, go, go mentality. You could be over-exercising and doing too much to your body, which we're going to get to. It could be that you're dealing with something as in-depth as a viral infection of some sort, to where your body is super stressed and releasing adrenaline, all right? So there's a number of reasons why we tend to release too much and not see the weight loss happen. But we need to understand the relationship with adrenaline and cortisol, okay? Adrenaline happens first, and then it tells the adrenals to make cortisol in response to the stress so that you can manage the stress. All right, so when you go get a blood test, and they do maybe like a blood serum cortisol test, and let's say that it's above 19 or it's 20 or something like that, that's pretty high, especially if you've had a fasting blood test in the morning. If cortisol is running super high in the morning, these are the people that are peeing all the time. They have brain fog. They don't have an appetite first thing in the morning when they wake up. Okay, these are all symptoms of high cortisol. They do get a surge of energy just before they go to bed. So maybe like midway through the day, about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so sleepy. But then 10 o'clock at night, they're like, dang, I could go run a marathon right now. Okay, so this is high cortisol, and it's an issue because cortisol should start out kind of mediocre or high during the morning, and it should slowly taper off. But what happens to people with high cortisol is it stays high all day, and then finally their body just fatigues around 2 or 3 and it drops. And then it comes back up when it should be leveling down. We should be winding down at bedtime. We shouldn't be so stoked to go run outside or to get the house clean at 10 o'clock at night that we really just can't calm down. And there's a few reasons for that we're going to get to too. So let me see if there's any other comments here real quickly. Yep, I got other people saying they can hear. That's great. Okay. So another symptom of high cortisol, chronic low back pain. Do you have chronic low back pain? You wake up in the morning, your back feels stiff, but it doesn't really feel like a muscle. Like even when you stretch the muscles, you're not really getting that sensation of relief. That's actually indicative of the nerves surrounding the adrenals. The adrenals actually enlarge, and they sit right on top of the kidneys, and they compress the nerves around that, and they cause a reaction, which means they're causing pain in that area because they're enlarging and they're compressing the nerves around them. So that's something that if you have low back pain, it's definitely, you want to look at, am I overstressed? Am I overtaxed? High anxiety. If you're running on adrenaline, you're going to feel like this buzzing sensation or an inner ball of tension that you walk around with all day long, that you're just like, gosh, why am I so on edge? Why am I so tense? That is adrenaline, okay? High anxiety, tension all the time. You really just cannot calm down. Maybe you try to do deep breathing or you try to do meditation or yoga and you're just like, this is not happening. Digestive issues. Oh my gosh, if you have high anxiety and digestive issues, you do have cortisol and adrenaline issues. Now again, we're going to talk about the reasons behind that. Why is the adrenaline high in the first place? It's not because you have the digestive issues, although anyone will tell you that has digestive issues, it does give you anxiety, which causes more stress. So it's kind of like a vicious circle. Ulcers, gas and bloating, low stomach acid, trouble digesting foods and eliminating as well. So constipation is a symptom of high adrenaline. Your body's in no position to digest when all of the blood is being shunted to the adrenals to produce cortisol, okay? So that's when you have to produce a lot of cortisol in response to stress, that's your body's number one thing. Remember, keep the brain safe, keep the body safe, produce cortisol so that we stay alive. I don't care if you're growing hair. I don't care if you're gaining weight. I don't care if you're not hungry. My goal is to make cortisol for you to stay alive because cortisol is our fight or flight hormone, okay? Lowered immune function. That's because our immune is housed in the gut. And so if the gut's not working, typically we see that with this kind of an issue, then your immune system's going to tank as well. In addition to the fact that the adrenals rob all your vitamin C in order to make cortisol. So your vitamin C that would normally like help protect you as an antioxidant is no longer available. Truncal obesity, okay? This is a symptom of high cortisol. Now I want to talk about, there's a couple reasons for this, and I've touched on this in some other podcasts, but pay attention to this, because if you're low carb or keto, or maybe you just don't eat a lot, you have kind of a low calorie diet, you've been dieting down because you're not getting the results that you'd like to see, here's what happens. You could have the world's best low carb and low fat diet or low keto, whatever, and you will make your own sugar. It's called gluconeogenesis, meaning gluco is like sugar, neo means new, and genesis is creation, the creation of new sugar. So if you're not taking sugar in, but yet you're under high amounts of stress, your body goes, I can't handle this. I have to have sugar to get through this day. So I'm going to take from myself, specifically your largest muscle groups, which would be like your thighs and your butt muscles, and convert that into sugar. Essentially, I'm going to make a donut from my own tissue that is like a donut of sugar, and I'm going to eat my own tissue to keep you from dying. Okay, so your body's trying to help you here, but it really doesn't feel like it's helping, right? It actually feels like it's doing you more harm than good. So what we see here is skinny arms and legs, skinny butts and thighs, or maybe just the thighs and the butt seem to be more flabby than usual, but your gut is actually getting bigger, or maybe you're not losing weight in the tummy section. And if that's the case, then we really have to look at where the stress is that we can dial in, because cortisol and adrenaline are too high. Okay, weight gain specifically in the face, or puffy face or eyes. This is so cortisol. Welcome to a huge cortisol symptom. If you wake up every morning and you're like, oh, what is happening to me? Okay, so nothing's happening to you except for the fact that you got to dial some stress in, okay? So puffiness around the eyes can be a thyroid-related issue because of the high amounts of stress that you're under. And puffiness in the face in general is a high cortisol symptom. There is a really bad manifestation of high cortisol, which is called Cushing's disease. And people with Cushing's will actually get a full moon face, and they may have had chiseled jawline at one point in time. But when the cortisol gets way above what I call legal limits on any sort of blood work, then you're going to see like a face you've never seen before. So if that's happening for you, definitely pay attention of that sign, because Cushing's is a deadly disease. Okay, so Cushing's, when cortisol gets so high that your body starts to see changes that you've never seen before, definitely get that checked out. Okay, weight gain, we've talked about in the face, in the belly. You might even see it in the back, like your back gets really thick, okay, kind of like this real beefy back, or your bras start to get super tight, or men, you're starting to almost put on weight in your upper back and trapezius area. That's cortisol. You're exhausted after your workouts. This is not normal. Like I've said before, you should not have to go take a nap after your workout. If this is you, then you are having way too high of cortisol, way too high of adrenaline. Your body's running on adrenaline, and we need to calm that down. Fibromyalgia. Have you been diagnosed with fibromyalgia? This is a high adrenaline response. So think about when you're under high stress, you're tense all the time, you tense up your muscles, you're getting through your day in this tense mojo way of movement, and you're really not relaxing. Even in bed at night, you can't relax. You start to develop this fibromyalgia, which is like tight muscles or inflammation of the muscles, burning pain in the muscles, okay? This is from high amounts of tension that you're walking around with, specifically from adrenaline. So we really do need to calm that down. And then exhausted in general. Maybe you don't even work out that hard, but in general, you are just exhausted. And conversely, you like actually when there's stress, because you feel that buzzing energy that keeps you going. That's that adrenaline dominance or adrenaline junkie going on. So what you should know, though, is we don't want to keep cortisol high for a number of reasons, obviously weight gain being one of them, but also elevated cortisol causes severe osteoporosis, meaning that you're breaking down bone, you're breaking down collagen, which holds your skin together, and arthritis can set in as well, okay? So you've got loss of muscle mass, breakdown of muscle, that's that catabolism, that's turning that muscle into sugar, the gluconeogenesis, breaking down ligaments and tendons, so you start pulling muscles. You start getting ankle sprains a lot more. You start getting rotator cuff issues. This is all the body's way of saying, tink, 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 I'm not okay. Like, we are running on my last bit of resources, and I'm going to have to start pulling from you, your own body, to get through this, okay? Then what happens next is a hormone fluctuation of reduced levels of DHEA, which is our anti-aging hormone, reduced testosterone, which men and women both need in order to have adequate libidos, adequate muscle growth, adequate weight loss. Growth hormone ensues, like a lowered growth hormone. We lose growth hormone as we age anyway, but if you lose it too quickly, guess what? You will not see weight loss happen. And then TSH, your thyroid stimulating hormone, goes up in a bad way. We don't want it to go up. We want it to stay as low as possible, leading to thyroid issues and more weight gain. So what happens next? Well, wouldn't you like to know? Next comes an increase in appetite. So you're already dieting low because you're trying to lose weight, but yet you're ravenous because your body's like, I'm so hungry and I need resources to make cortisol, and you're not bringing them in. So I'm starving. I'm going to lower thyroid function even more. I'm going to rob more from my muscle and my tissue. You become cold all the time. Carb cravings come in, insulin resistance, more stress, and more weight. Need I say more? Okay, stress makes you fat. That's the bottom line that I'm getting to here. We have to dial in the stress. Now, what kinds of stress am I talking about? Any kind of stress, life trauma. We just went through COVID and it was very hard for a lot of people. They're worried about their business. They're worried about their family. They're worried about their lives, right? They're walking around in mask world, which is very tense, okay? And that is actually causing kind of a COVID PTSD. Like, people are having post-traumatic stress disorder from living in this time. It's a very delicate, hard time to deal with. Critical times are here. And so this has been an influx in stress more so than ever. But on top of that, like, we're all dealing with that. But on top of that, what if you're trying to do 2 classes a day? You're running 8 miles a day. You're lifting more heavy than you ever have because you're striving for results and you haven't seen any. So it's more and more and more. And you're tired all the time. So then you're eating more sweets to stay alert, or you're drinking more caffeine, or you're intermittent fasting because you just think, well, maybe if I don't eat, I'll lose the weight, which is a stressor. Fasting is a stressor on the body. You're staying up later because we have all this great technology that allows us to watch movies from wherever we are at any time of day, whatever we want to watch, you know, or to play words with friends at any time of day, whoever you want to talk to, right? And so it makes life a little too convenient to not get the rest and the wind down and the really great stuff that happens when we sleep, okay? So nighttime artificial light raises cortisol levels. Need I say that again? If you have blue light on after the sun goes down, you are going to release adrenaline and make cortisol, which is that stress hormone, because our body gets that signaling. Our brain signals the circuits that light has not gone down. It's still noon, and yet it's 10 o'clock at night. I'm confused. I need to release more cortisol because we still have a full day to go. So let me release this and not release melatonin, by the way, which is our sleep-inducing hormone, which also is an antioxidant, which kills off of a lot of the bad viral things that are coming in. So artificial light, not your friend after the sun goes down if you have a stress issue. One way to lower the stress in your life is to dim all those lights, dim your devices, put on blue blocking lenses at night. You can go to swanwicksleep.com and use my code GETFIT to order your own blue blockers. And at least that way, if your family wants to watch a movie late at night on your giant screen TV, you're not sitting in front of a mini sunshine that's telling your brain, don't go to sleep, whatever you do. And also, it's still noon. I need to make some cortisol to get through the rest of the day. So chronic yo-yo dieting, this is a stressor. If you're trying every new fad that comes along, this week you're paleo, next week you're carnivore, last week you were keto, okay, that's a huge stressor on your body. Your body needs routine. It needs diversity. It needs a blend of good nutrients such as protein, carbohydrates, and fat. And it needs it from an earth-based source because we are earth-based creatures and we need to get it from the most natural source possible, not from a box or a fast food joint. So if you're, kind of limiting yourself to 5 foods because you think that it worked for your sister or your mom, or you just seem to have digestive issues that won't go away, that's something you want to work with a nutritionist on. You don't want to take that into your own hands, because you really don't want to limit yourself to so much diversity that your gut bugs get destroyed. Okay. And we want to eat foods that nourish our body to lower cortisol. There are certain foods that do that. Okay, protein is a really great example. Protein helps to calm the adrenaline response so that it doesn't dip into your own protein stores and turn it to sugar, or turn it to that body donut, I call it. You're gonna make your own body donut, and you don't even get to eat a donut and have fun, right? So now, the next one, why a reason for a cortisol imbalance is really important. I want you guys to pay attention to this, because this is the biggest problem I see. Too much exercise. Okay, I know you guys are health seekers. You're super seekers, man. Like, you're going after it on both ends. Like, let me get up and do a workout. Let me do a workout later in the day. Let me do 2 classes back to back. Let me do a weight training workout, but then also a heavy duty cardio workout on the same day. And then let me hire a trainer and see if I can go even harder. Okay, the human body was made to move. Absolutely. You need to move every day. But if you're doing it in a way that causes the body an issue, as far as like you need a nap after your workouts, or your workouts are starting to make you have joint pain, your workouts are starting to make you so ravenous that you can't keep up with your calorie needs, then it's time to dial it back. If you have issues, it's Bailey back there. Hi. It's live, so you get what you get. If you have issues where you are having like anxiety about your workouts because you don't know how you're going to get through them, then that is an issue with adrenaline and with cortisol. Okay, your workout should be something that makes you move, that benefits your body, that does it in a way that when you get done, you're like, I feel great. Like, I actually feel like I have more energy, versus you have to go home and take a nap. If that's true for you, you have to dial it back down. You're only causing yourself more damage. What happens when you exercise? When you exercise, you rip muscle, you break it down, and so you have to have the rest, the time of rest, to repair and build up stronger tissue. It's kind of like in the fact that when you weed your garden, right? You got to get rid of all the nasty. You got to go in there and hoe it and break it down. Then you can plant the seeds and give it time to grow. But if every day you're doing 2 workouts a day, 7 days a week, and you're also running in the evening after you've done your morning class, all you're doing is continuing to hoe your garden. You're not letting it grow, and you're not going to see results, and you're only going to get weaker. You're not going to get stronger. Talk to any bodybuilder that doesn't have a rest day, and they'll tell you the worst thing you can do is go balls to the walls 7 days a week. We have to dial down the stress. We have to make sure that our body has time to rest and digest and sleep. If you want to release growth hormone, which helps with fat loss and muscle gains, you have to sleep. Okay, so if you think, oh, no, I'm one of those people that I can go, and as long as I get 4 to 5 hours, I'm okay. Well, you might think that in your day-to-day energy level, but on the stance of your body making changes, and it's not happening, you're not seeing the changes, then it's time to go, is this really working for me? How's that working for you? Like, is it really working that you're getting 4 to 5 hours of sleep and you're doing chronically hard workouts and you're not seeing results? Think back. I want you to think back over the last year, and maybe if your workouts have increased, how many gains have you seen? You've increased your workouts over the last year. Has things gotten better or worse? Does your skin look more aged, or does it look softer? Does your digestion, has it gotten better, or do you have more digestive issues than you did a year ago? Is your sleep improving, or has it gotten worse? If you answered worse to any of these, you need to ask yourself, have I done too much? Am I doing too much with my body? Should I dial it back a little? Should I do more calming practices and more walking instead of running and let my body calm down? Because I can tell you from experience, I've worked with clients who were CrossFitters, and they were hard hitter extremists. They wanted heavy duty workouts, and they came to me because they couldn't sleep, their gut was a wreck, and they had issues with anxiety through the roof. And what did I do? I wouldn't let them work out. I took them off of workouts. They lost weight. They got their anxiety dialed in. They felt much more at ease with their life. And they couldn't believe that they lost weight because they weren't doing the heavy duty workouts. Okay? Give your body a chance to rest, and it'll work for you rather than against you. All right? So those are the people I really wanted to talk to today. You guys need to listen up to this, because there's a lot of you that are doing the right thing, so to speak. You think that more exercise and more dieting is what you're after, but really it's doing more harm than good. So please pay attention to some of the tips I'm going to give here. All right, a hurried lifestyle, high stress. Maybe you're a caregiver. This is a high stress because you can't change that stress, okay? So we're going to talk about things you can change, because if you're taking care of a loved one or a spouse, you can't change that. That's part of you, who you are right now, and that's great. That's the most commendable thing you can do, is take care of someone you love. But on top of that, you got to take care of somebody else that you love, which is you, because you have to stay 100%, because that person needs you. They need you at your best. And so we're going to talk about what other avenues of your stress can you dial in if you can't dial in this other, this job stress or this caregiver stress, right? And then too much darkness, actually. If you don't see the sun and you're indoors all the time, and by darkness I mean not sunlight, or maybe you like to stay up late and you like to sleep in. Okay, this is actually something that is very detrimental to your circadian rhythm. Your circadian rhythm is very much in charge of your adrenaline and your cortisol output. Okay, so if your cortisol is elevated and you feel stressed a lot of the time, we need to dial in your light. We need to make sure that you're getting sunlight during the day and dimming those lights like I talked about at night. And then insulin resistance. If you've eaten a lot of processed foods, a lot of fast foods, a lot of boxed and bagged and cereals and cookies and things like that, and you've developed kind of this chronic, like, oh my gosh, I love carbohydrates and I can't get enough, and it seems like I'm always hungry and I'm always tired, that's called insulin resistance, okay? And blood sugar handling issues, which will elevate your cortisol because it's a stressor to the body. Dietary stress is a stressor. So if you're eating inflammatory foods like a lot of gluten, a lot of processed foods, a lot of processed dairy like ice creams and things like that, then you are going to put your body more in a stressful state, because it has to work extra hard on the load of chemicals and toxins that are coming in from those foods. Maybe you're exposed to high amounts of glyphosate because you're eating a lot of regular conventional foods like oats and Cheerios and things like that that are sprayed heavily with glyphosate, which is like Roundup that they're putting on a lot of our food and our produce. So that can bog down your system. If your liver's under stress because you drink a lot, you like love your alcohol, you love your party on the weekends, that's okay, but except for if it's not okay, like when it's affecting your liver to the point where you're stressed and you don't see the weight loss happen. And I will say one of the quickest ways to help your body not lose weight is to drink alcohol every day, even if it's just one glass. If you want to keep the scale from changing at all, then please overexercise and drink wine every night, and you will not see results. I promise you will be, wow, I don't know why I've worked out for a year and I look the same, okay? That is because we have to dial in the stressors on the body, and alcohol is a stress. Obviously, cigarettes and recreational drugs would be a stress, but also something as simple as Snackwell's cookies, which are full of chemicals, would be a stress. A very low-fat diet of a lot of processed foods would be a stress. So, during periods of chronic stress, both cortisol and insulin levels rise together and send a strong signal for fat cells to store as much fat as possible and hold on to what fat they already contain. It's a survival mechanism. Your body's like, I need to survive. I don't know what's going to happen next because there's so many stressors coming at me at one time. So everything that she takes in or he takes in, I'm going to store it, and I'm not going to let go of anything they have going on right now. I'm just going to get them through the day by making as much cortisol as I need to. Okay, so again, not what we want. Aging plays a factor. The older we get, the more cortisol we have because we've accumulated it over the years, and we have more stressors because, we had kids that grew, and now our kids are having families, and so you're worried about grandkids, and then you're worried about this, and maybe you're still working, or maybe you're retired and you have new things because you're volunteering places. The stress accumulates. Our life in general is getting more stressful because we have stressors that are beyond our control. Wi-Fi. Everywhere you go, you're swimming in a sea of radiation of Wi-Fi. You don't feel it. You don't see the rays, but they affect you on a cellular level. We are electric beings. We have electrons in our cells, and every time we are exposed to a radiation wave from our smartphone, from our computer, from the Wi-Fi that's in the building, we are being bombarded with bodily cellular stress. And so something as simple at night as turning off your Wi-Fi at night can help lower your stress load to where you sleep better. I've seen it time and again when I take somebody that's a client and I take them off of their Wi-Fi at night. They turn it off on their devices and they turn it off in their home. Every night they sleep better, okay? So it's something like your Bluetooth. How many Bluetooth devices are you around at any given time? If you could turn those off, the burning, searing headache that you have on top of your head most days might go away. The ringing in your ears you have on most days might go away. All of these are indicative of high adrenaline stress that could calm down when you tackle the stressors that you can handle, okay? Remember, we might not be able to change the caregiver stress, but we can change the Wi-Fi and the Bluetooth stress. Now, I mentioned circadian rhythm. So that's another thing that when you dial that in, when you dial that light cycle in, you actually start to move the needle in the right direction. You will notice it because if you turn and dim all the lights down at night, how easy is it for you to go to sleep, right? You get sleepier when it's darker. When you've gone camping and all you do is have firelight, do you get sleepy? Yeah. So do that in your home. Make it to where after the sun goes down, you don't have the bright LED lights on. You turn those off, and all you have is like the night shift on your phone if you have to be on it, or you have your blue blockers on to dim that. Okay, so you know, the issue with cortisol is, I believe, why our world is in a constant state of stress is we're in a constant state of jet lag, even though we're not traveling. We've got our light cycles off, our circadian rhythm is off as if we're off time zones. We're telling our body at 10 o'clock at night that it's noon, and it's confusing our hormone output. It's because our body usually releases things like testosterone and growth hormone at night. But if it's not getting the signal for night, then it's not going to release those. So it's confusing our whole internal system. Your brain has the clock in it called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. Yeah, say that 5 times fast. And the sun's rays and the right kind of rays at the right time of day actually stimulate that to release things like progesterone and testosterone and DHEA and make the right amount of hormones and dim cortisol when we need it. But if you're getting the light at the wrong time of day and that suprachiasmatic nucleus is getting the blue light at 10 o'clock at night, then it throws off your whole rhythm of hormone output. And that's why anybody that's coming to me now with their blood work is showing me their hormone panels and going, wow, like all my hormones are off. And it's because we've never had this much light in our whole existence as humans. We have more light now than ever before. We have more blue light at night and not enough sunlight in the day because we're always indoors on devices than ever before. And it's disrupting our whole circadian rhythm. So this is part of why dialing in your circadian rhythm is going to make a huge difference in your health overall. Okay, let's talk about some things now that are going to dampen that adrenaline and lower the cortisol so that you can actually calm the stress response in your body and see results in your weight, right? That's what we're here for. That's what you're listening to the webinar for. So protein, like I mentioned, protein is key. You want to make sure that whatever form of protein you're getting, whether you're a vegan or a carnivore, whatever it is, that you're getting it in, because if you don't bring it in, your body will get it itself. It'll take from its own tissue. And again, we don't want to do that very much. Gluconeogenesis is not something we want to do. Okay, so if it's more of the, animal-based proteins, like any sort of animal-based or seafood-based, tuna, sardines, shrimp, crab legs, all of that is great protein because they have minerals in them too from the sea. Then you have your beef, your chicken, your organ meats. If you like liver, it's excellent to consume that for your own liver. Okay, and then we want to reduce the inflammatory foods. Let's reduce the dietary stress on our body. Avoid anything that's a baked good, processed in any way. Even gluten-free crackers now have something called PUFAs in them, polyunsaturated fatty acids. Most of them you'll find have sunflower oil or canola oil or rapeseed oil. I mean, if you want to show me the rapeseed plant, I'd be happy to go, no. So if you can reduce the things like PUFAs, the polyunsaturated fats, the man-made fats, your Crisco, your margarine, your vegetable oils, your Wesson, your Mazola, all of those trans fatty oils, that's going to lessen the inflammation on the body as a whole, okay? So when we reduce that dietary stress, your body calms down. So sometimes just as simple as changing certain foods actually can calm that stressor. Gluten being one of those big offenders. Not one human actually digests gluten. So there you go. It either passes through us undigested or it affects us on a systemic cellular level, okay? Also, you might want to avoid things for a time like alcohol, vinegars, and acids. They can cause too much lactic acid in the body. Caffeinated beverages for some people need to be eliminated when you're under high amounts of stress, because what do? When we're trying to burn the candle at both ends, we're reaching for a bang, we're reaching for a Red Bull, we're reaching for another cup of coffee, a red eye, a latte, just anything to keep you going. But that's actually doing more damage in the long run because it's a stimulant. So while, yeah, it's stimulating your adrenaline to give you energy through the day, it's also going to affect your sleep at night, meaning that you're not going to get a deep enough sleep to release things like growth hormone and testosterone, which calm down your system. Okay, so it's kind of a catch-22. Yeah, you're going to get energy for a couple hours, but then you're going to crash even harder, and it's going to take more and more and more to get you to go. So you might want to, let your system calm down with how much it needs stimulants, and then over time you can reintroduce it in small amounts. Sugars, sweets, soft drinks with fructose in them, all of those should be avoided for a time. Baked goods, breads, pastas, pretzels, cereals, things like that. Though anything with like a gluten-based or a flour-based base, that's what you want to avoid, because those are actually going to induce more of that cortisol response. Lifestyle habits. That's the next thing we want to talk about. Slowing down. Oh my gosh, hopefully you saw the video that I posted where just put a blanket out right now. The leaves are absolutely amazing. Lay out on a blanket and just watch the leaves fall one at a time. Just watch them fall. Just take a time. Watch the clouds go by in the sky. You're laying on the blanket, you're getting grounding. Grounding is a fantastic way to lower cortisol, because we have a rhythm inside of us called a kind of a hertz, if you will, kind of an electrical pulse, electrical energy, a magnetism of 7.83 hertz. The earth also has that same exact frequency, 7.83 hertz. It matches up to our alpha brain waves. So every time you connect with your feet on the earth, oops, I think I just lost my thing. Am I there still? Oh, yep. Okay. So every time you put your feet on the earth and connect to the earth, you're actually grounding your energy and calming down your nervous system. And there's actually been scientific studies on what they've done with cortisol. They've measured cortisol of people who were grounded. They had their feet on the earth, or they were, going out daily and grounding, or they were sleeping on a grounding mat. And their cortisol went down. They actually lowered their cortisol in scientific studies. So you can do that, and avoiding the darkness too much, having a Sabbath, like choosing a day of rest that you're actually calming down, and getting, active relaxation. You're staying relaxed. You're staying at home. For women, it's having that down day, that day where you're like, I'm going to get my laundry done. I'm going to get all the cleaning done. I'm going to change all the sheets. Then I'm going to sit outside and lay on a blanket and just kind of read that book I've been wanting to read. If you can do that, you're actually going to slowly over time lower that cortisol and see the weight loss happen a lot faster. Okay, what about sea salt? Adding sea salt to your water or putting it in your mouth and then drinking water with it is actually a great way to bring in electrolytes and minerals. Minerals are very calming to the nervous system. So using minerals like magnesium, sodium, potassium, those things in the really great earth-based source of like a sea salt will actually calm your cells, and they will start to let the adrenaline and the tension in the body release. Another supplement I like is ashwagandha. Ashwagandha is an adaptogenic herb, meaning that no matter what your issue is, maybe you're low on energy, maybe you need more energy, the ashwagandha will help you adapt to what you need. So for one person, it might mean more energy. For the other person, it might mean less energy. And so I wanted to show you this product we carry here at the gym called Discipline Go. And it actually has a really great amount of ashwagandha in it. It's got 250 milligrams, which generally I like to have somebody take about 500 a day. So if you took this 2 times a day, you would actually be getting the recommended dose of ashwagandha. It's got some other great things in it, like L-theanine. L-theanine is an amino acid that creates a relaxed alertness. And something else in here I love, and I myself use, is phosphatidylserine. Another word you can say 5 times fast. Phosphatidylserine. Phosphatidylserine is a general anti-stress nutrient. If you want to calm the stress in your body, if you want better cognition during your day to do the tasks at work or whatever, then you have got to get your hands on phosphatidylserine. Now, I like this product because it has all 3 of those in one. So you could take this 2 times a day and actually get cognitive benefits, but also sleep and relaxation and calming benefits so that you can start to see results. Sometimes it's not about taking a fat burner to see results. It's about taking a de-stressor, calm the adrenaline response, calm the cortisol, and your body goes, hey, I feel pretty good. Maybe I'll let go of some of this weight in my saddlebags I've been hanging on to. I don't need it for a rainy day now. We're doing all right. So ashwagandha, schisandra is another one. I like tyrosine. I like branched chain amino acids for people that are trying to keep their muscle from being broken down. All of those are great. Water, okay? Are you staying hydrated? Are you just hoeing your garden because you're just ripping it to shreds with daily workouts, but you're not putting any water in the garden? You have to hydrate. Half your body weight in ounces of water each day. If you're dehydrated, that is a stressor, and you will release more adrenaline due to that, okay? So half your body weight's in ounces each day, more if you're exercising. And speaking of less exercise, let's talk about less exercise is actually more adrenaline friendly. So less is more. There are so many things in life that I think people think that if it's good for me a little bit, then more is better, right? So let's think about that for a second. So we know that water is good, but if water's good, maybe more is better? Not so much, because we know about hypernatremia, which is when somebody drinks so much water that they actually end up in the hospital, okay? So in that case, more is not better. Let's think about it in terms of sleep. Sleep is good, so maybe we should sleep more. Maybe we should sleep 23 hours a day and only be awake 1 hour a day. Would that really get you a lot done and feel accomplished in your life and not just feel tired all the time? Probably not. So in that case, more is not better. What about taking a walk? Walking is good, but if you only walked and you never got in a car and went somewhere, you'd probably lose your job because you wouldn't ever get there on time if your job's like 15 or 20 miles away every day. Okay, so in that case, more is not better. What we're looking for here is a balance. Right? So movement we want. So finding that class or that workout or that program that you like that works for your body, that supports what you're trying to do, play with grandkids or ride horses or surf or whatever it is. Then do the exercises that benefit that. But outside of that, if you're just going ragged and going balls to the walls every day, then you're actually going to be getting sicker over time than getting better. So what we're looking for is less is more. What about picking that one thing and sticking to that and making sure it's something that you look forward to and not something that you dread, like the treadmill. I got to run my 8 miles on the treadmill, but I hate it and I'm stressed out the whole time I'm doing it because I hate it so much. Okay, that's not indicative of a healthy exercise program. And frankly, you're not going to see results because your body's in stress mode. Okay, so less exercise is better. And I'm one of those people that I'm going to tell you less exercise, more food. Okay, I'm not going to do what the doctor says and go eat less, exercise more. That's why we're in the predicament in our nation that we are today, is because people are getting sicker and not better. So we need to actually dial up the nutrition, dial down the exercise if you want to see things happen in the right manner. Okay, sleep, rest, naps. Yes, you can take naps, but it shouldn't be because you had a hefty workout. It should be because it's a time of day when you naturally feel a low and you go for it. You take a 20-minute power nap. You don't want to get into deep REM sleep because that can mess with you. The sleep inertia can mess with you later on when you try to go to bed. But lay down. Remember how I said lay a blanket on the grass and try to get some natural relaxation outside watching the leaves fall. Close your eyes and doze off for about 15 or 20 minutes. You'll wake up refreshed and you'll actually be doing yourself a service. If you roughly get 6 to 7 hours of sleep a night, try to up it by 30 minutes every week. Try to get 30 minutes more every week and just notice what happens when you dim those lights earlier, when you turn off the devices earlier. and notice if your health improves. Notice if it's easier to get those pants and those skinny jeans on, because suddenly you're not doing anything different other than sleeping more, but maybe that makes you release more growth hormone and testosterone so you can sleep better. And then how about, we talked a little bit about grounding and sunshine, but being in nature, going for a forest bathing experience where you walk in the forest and you get the natural essential oils from the trees that come wafting into your nasal passages and stuff like that. There's so many natural great tree essential oils like pine and cedar wood. Those are actually cortisol lowering oils. So yeah, burn them in a diffuser if you want, or go out in nature and get the benefits of being out in the earth with the trees all around you, giving you the really great unadulterated natural essential oils. Okay, let me check to see if we have any questions here. I've got a lot of somebody typing words I can't understand. And how long should we ground with the earth, Pam asks. That's a great question, Pam. So as little as 5 minutes has shown in scientific studies to be beneficial, but I will tell you, the more you can, the better. So the more you can put your feet on the earth. I mean, if you think of countries that have that availability, third world countries that are usually barefoot, or they sleep on banana leaves on the ground. Like when I was in Vanuatu, all the little tribes, I'm sleeping in a tent on an air mattress and they're sleeping on banana leaves on the ground. These people have no health issues. They have no weight issues. They don't go to a gym and exercise. They walk every day and they eat a lot of tubers. They're eating a lot of carbs, these taro grown underground, and plantains and bananas and fruits that grow off the tree. And they get their kill that day either at the ocean or out in the wild, or shrimp from the local river, and they eat it that night. Okay, so yeah, the more in line with nature you're living, so the more exposure you have to staying grounded, the more results you're going to see. I can see it in my friends that live in Hawaii, that they're outside in their garden barefoot all day. They don't have hunger cravings. They're not looking on social media all the time. They're in nature. They're loving life. They're living on the earth, and they don't have any health issues. Okay, so we kind of want to model ourselves after before the invention of the smartphone in 1996. What'd you do in the 80s when you came home from work? You poured a glass of lemonade and you rocked in your rocking chair on the porch, or you went for a walk with the dog, or you played in the grass with your kids. Okay, let's go back to that instead of like, I get off work and I numb out to a game or a Facebook feed or whatever until I need to cook dinner, but then I'm so exhausted that I can't cook dinner, so I just order something out. Like, we need to get back to nature. We need to get back to having our hands in the dirt, our feet on the earth, and our hands if you're a woman or a man, your hands in a cooking pot, cooking something, because when you're more in control of your food benefits you more. Okay, so also, I do not advocate wearing sunglasses in the daytime. I know they look cool, but let's wear them at night, because that's when we need to block out all the light at night that actually helps with your circadian rhythm. So if you have the really cool sunglasses, wear them at night, or get some blue blockers. Humans are very sensitive to the loss of light, especially in the winter months. So we need to be outside exposing that suprachiasmatic nucleus in the back of our eyeball to the light as much as possible. So, you know, I've said before, don't take a smoke break, take a non-smoke break, and do what the smokers do. Go outside and get sunlight, but just maybe don't take a cigarette. So, all right, that kind of brings me to the end here. So let me make sure we don't have any other questions about adrenal stress. And if you do, you guys can message us through the weight room or leave a comment down below, and I'll try to get to it later if there's something we didn't touch on today. But hopefully some of those tips, you know, some of the supplements we talked about, the water, less exercise, more nutrient-dense food rather than inflammatory foods, sunshine, grounding, being in nature, and also dialing in your sleep, all of those are going to help get that cortisol and that stress response under control. And I can't say enough about turning off your Wi-Fi and your Bluetooth when you're not using it, because it's just one more stressor that we can control in a world of so much that we can't control. Okay, so, oh, we have one more question. Okay, Sophia asked, what about the wrinkles from squinting? Oh yeah, without the sunglasses, right? So that actually can be kind of a endearing thing. I don't know. I remember my dad had wrinkles. He had the little crow's feet, and I always thought he looked like Clint Eastwood. So it depends, you know, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. I guess if it means that the rest of your body looks pretty dang good because you're not stressed and you don't have a stressed out body, but you got a little bit of laugh lines and a little bit of wrinkles from squinting, so be it, right? If you feel amazing, then who cares about those little lines that tell you how much you smile and squint? because you're out in the sunlight a lot. However, I will say that making sure you're building up that collagen, which starts with a healthy thyroid and starts with a healthy gut, will do wonders for your skin. So keeping the collagen action going. You can even consider things like MSM, which is a natural supplement you can take that it's the precursor to building collagen. So taking that can actually create smoother lines in the face rather than wrinkles, and it can diminish a lot of age spots and stuff like that. So MSM is a really great product for not just skin health, but also joint health. And with that, I'll wrap up. Thanks for watching. You guys are awesome.
Right? Are your hormones in check? Well, ATP Science is my new go-to brand when it comes to lowering estrogen and getting your gut right. In fact, their product, GutRight, is on the top of my list with regard to an all-around supplement that I would recommend to almost any client I work with. It's so imperative that we get our guts right in order to absorb all the nutrients from our foods that we're taking in. Our guts are under so much stress from our food system, from the stress of the system we live in as a whole, to dangerous radiation we're bombarded with. When you hold your cell phone right in front of your stomach, you're actually radiating your internal organs and kind of breaking down the gut lining, so to speak. So alongside with that, social pressures from social media. Yeah, guys, Facebook and Instagram totally affect your gut because it affects you on an anxiety and nervous level of, you're seeing all the pressures of what your peers are doing and can you live up to that? So it puts pressure on you. So you might want to consider getting your gut right by doing a 10-day protocol of the GutRight. So simply order yours today. Use the link in the description as well as my code JODELLE, JODELLE, which gives you 10% off. And take GutRight for 3 times a day for 10 days. Then begin balancing your hormones with my favorite product, Alpha Prime. And can I just say that I've had several clients that have lowered their estrogen by half within almost 6 weeks' time. They've lowered their estrogen from astronomical numbers in half by just taking the Alpha Prime. So this is a Jodelle approved product that everybody that's dealing with hormonal imbalances or excess estrogen should be on. So order yours today, start moving the needle in the right direction and feel better fast. Dry skin, hair falling out, sleep issues, low energy, constipation, digestive issues, even trouble swallowing and feeling like your neck has a lot of tension. These can indicate a thyroid issue. And now more than ever, I'm seeing subclinical thyroid issues in virtually every client I work with. So what's one easy way to amp up your thyroid and improve your health overall? Natural desiccated thyroid. And no, you don't have to go to your physician to get that. You can actually get natural desiccated thyroid from Ancestral Supplements. It's a company that I love and work with. I love their beef thyroid, beef liver supplement. Did you know that you can only make the T4 to T3 conversion into that active thyroid hormone if the liver's in check? So get your thyroid and your liver in check with Ancestral Supplements beef thyroid. Click the link in the description and use my code JODELLE to save 10% on a great thyroid support that your body will love and it will thank you for in the way of getting rid of all of those symptoms I mentioned at the beginning of this. Who's got your back day and night? Well, not very many people have our backs day and night, but I'll tell you a company that does, and that's Swanwick Sleep. So they have day blockers for the daytime computer use. And then they have the nighttime blockers for the TV use or words with friends or whatever it is you're doing on a device that you really shouldn't be doing at night. They've got light blockers for that. We've got to block that dangerous blue light. Did you know that right after the sun goes down, within an hour of the sun going down, if you're not blocking that blue light, you will elevate insulin. We don't want to do that. We don't want to elevate insulin. So they've got your back day or night. Check them out, swanwicksleep.com, and you can use my code GETFIT to save 10% on either day or nighttime. Check them out.